Welcome to Certification Terminal, your ultimate certification Q&A hub. I hope that you are all doing well. Question number 1. What device is usually in charge of managing the flow of traffic between various networks in a standard home or small business network? Option A, router. Option B, firewall. Option C, modem. Option D, switch. The correct answer is Option A, router. A router is the device primarily responsible for routing traffic between different networks, including your home network and the internet. Option B is incorrect. A firewall is primarily responsible for filtering traffic, protecting your network from unauthorized access and data from being sent out without permission. It doesn't typically route traffic between different networks. Option C is incorrect. A modem, modulator-demodulator, is a device that connects your network to the internet, typically through a service provider. It's not primarily responsible for routing traffic between different networks. Option D is incorrect. A switch is a device that directs traffic within a single network, like the devices within your home. While switches can route traffic, it's not their primary function and they don't typically route traffic between different networks. Question number 2. Which of the following provides the most accurate description of the purpose of a security program? Option A, to manage risks and threats to an acceptable level. Option B, to prevent all security incidents. Option C, to comply with legal regulations. Option D, to protect against all risks and threats. The correct answer is Option A, to manage risks and threats to an acceptable level. The purpose of a security program is to manage risks and threats to an acceptable level. It is not possible to protect against all risks and threats, and preventing all security incidents is also not possible. Compliance with legal regulations is a component of a security program, but it is not the primary purpose. Question number 3. What is the term used to denote the practice of partitioning a network into smaller, isolated segments to mitigate the risk of cyber attacks? Option A, load balancing. Option B, virtual private network. Option C, router configuration. Option D, network segmentation. The correct answer is Option D, network segmentation. Network segmentation allows to create logical segments that are isolated, and information does not trave between those segments unless configured to do so. Question number 4. What is the objective of conducting a business impact analysis, BIA? Option A, to define the maximum acceptable amount of downtime in the event of a disruption. Option B, to test the effectiveness of security controls. Option C, to establish procedures for restoring critical systems and data. Option D, to identify critical business functions and their dependencies. The correct answer is Option D, to identify critical business functions and their dependencies. The purpose of a business impact analysis is to identify critical business functions and their dependencies. This involves assessing the potential impact of disruptions on business operations and identifying the resources and processes needed to maintain critical functions. Question number 5. What category of control is represented by security guards, fences, and surveillance cameras? Option A, administrative controls. Option B, technical controls. Option C, security controls. Option D, physical controls. The correct answer is Option D, physical controls. Physical controls. Physical controls are exemplified by security guards, fences, surveillance cameras, access control systems, and other measures implemented to secure physical facilities, assets, and resources. Question number 6. Which of the following statements accurately describes the three-way handshake? Option A, it involves only two messages exchanged between two devices. Option B, it ensures both devices are ready and willing to communicate. Option C, it is used to encrypt data during transmission. Option D, it is only used for establishing a connection between servers and not between client and server. The correct answer is option B, it ensures both devices are ready and willing to communicate. The three-way handshake involves three messages exchanged between two devices, and its purpose is to ensure that both sides are ready and willing to communicate. It is not used to encrypt data during transmission, and it is used for establishing connections between both servers and clients. Question number 7. Which of the following principles is included in the ISC2 Code of Ethics? Option A, protect society, the common good, and the infrastructure. Option B, act honorably, honestly, safely, and legally. Option C, provide diligent and competent service to principals. Option D, advance and promote the profession. The correct answer is option C, provide diligent and competent service to principals. Only provide diligent and competent service to principals contains the accurate text of the ISC2 Code of Ethics. Although a security professional should discourage unsafe practices, no direct reference to acting safely exists in the canons. Aside from society, the common good and infrastructure, security professionals are expected to protect public trust and confidence. Finally, they are expected to protect the profession, and not just advance and promote it. Question number 8. Ellison, an IT manager, receives an alert indicating that the company's website has been defaced. Which cybersecurity principle has been primarily breached? Option A, non-repudiation. Option B, confidentiality. Option C, integrity. Option D, availability. The correct answer is option C, integrity. Defacing a website primarily violates the integrity principle, as it involves unauthorized alterations. Option A is incorrect. Non-repudiation is about ensuring data origin and integrity, but in this scenario, the main issue is unauthorized alterations. Option B is incorrect. While a defaced website could involve a breach of confidentiality, the scenario primarily concerns unauthorized modifications. Option D is incorrect. Although a defaced website could affect availability, the main violation here is unauthorized alterations. Question number 9. What is an illustration of a data classification scheme from the options provided? Option A, high, medium, low. Option B, A, B, C. Option C, red, yellow, green. Option D, public, internal, confidential. The correct answer is option D, public, internal, confidential. A data classification scheme is a set of categories used to classify data based on its sensitivity and criticality. One common scheme is public, internal, confidential, which categorizes data based on its intended audience and level of protection required. Other schemes may use different categories or labels, but the purpose is the same: to provide a framework for identifying and protecting sensitive data. Question number 10. What does the term multi-factor authentication refer to? Option A, a type of authentication that uses only one factor. Option B, a type of authentication that uses only two methods. Option C, a type of authentication that uses more than two methods. Option D, a type of authentication that uses only one method. The correct answer is option C, a type of authentication that uses more than two methods. Multi-factor authentication is a type of authentication that uses more than two methods to verify the identity of a user. MFA is a security mechanism that requires users to provide multiple forms of authentication in order to access a system or service. Typically, MFA requires users to provide something they know, such as a password or PIN, something they have, such as a smart card or token, and or something they are, such as a biometric identifier like a fingerprint or face scan. Question number 11. What is the main objective of conducting a risk assessment? Option A, to establish procedures for restoring critical systems and data. Option B, to identify vulnerabilities in business processes. Option C, to test the effectiveness of security controls. Option D, to identify potential threats and their impact on business operations. The correct answer is Option D, to identify potential threats and their impact on business operations. The primary purpose of a risk assessment is to identify potential threats and their impact on business operations. This involves assessing the likelihood and potential impact of various threats and identifying the resources and processes needed to mitigate them. Question number 12. What is the focal point of the principle of purpose limitation in privacy protection? Option A, collecting and using only necessary data. Option B, ensuring the accuracy of personal information. Option C, obtaining explicit consent for data processing. Option D, implementing appropriate data security measures. The correct answer is Option A, collecting and using only necessary data. Collecting and using only necessary data. Purpose limitation states that personal information should only be collected and used for specific, legitimate purposes and should not be further processed in a manner incompatible with those purposes. Question number 13. What distinguishes a hot site from a warm site as the primary difference between them? Option A, a hot site is located close to the main facility while a warm site is located farther away. Option B, a hot site is fully functional while a warm site is partially functional. Option C, a hot site is used for short-term recovery while a warm site is used for long-term recovery. Option D, a hot site is more expensive than a warm site. The correct answer is Option B, a hot site is fully functional while a warm site is partially functional. A hot site is a fully operational backup facility that is ready to take over the operations of a business in the event of a disaster. A warm site has some limited functionality, such as basic infrastructure, but may require some additional time to be fully operational. Question number 14. What is the commonly used term for the pre-established set of instructions or procedures to maintain business operations after a disaster? Option A, Disaster Recovery Plan. Option B, Business Impact Plan. Option C, Business Impact Analysis. Option D, Business Continuity Plan. The correct answer is Option D, Business Continuity Plan. A business continuity plan is a predetermined set of instructions describing how an organization's mission or business processes will be sustained during and after a significant disruption. A business impact analysis is a technique for analyzing how disruptions can affect an organization. A disaster recovery plan is a written plan for recovering information systems in response to a major failure or disaster. The term business impact plan does not exist. Question number 15. Bob has been assigned the task of setting up a network design that isolates the organization's externally accessible servers, such as the web server and email server, from its internal network to bolster security. What should he put into practice? Option A, DMZ. Option B, VLAN. Option C, VPN. Option D, IDS. The correct answer is Option A, DMZ. DMZ, Demilitarized Zone, is the correct answer. A DMZ is a physical or logical subnetwork that contains and exposes an organization's external-facing services to a larger, untrusted network. The purpose is to add an additional layer of security to an organization's local area network. The internal network is protected as if the public-facing servers in the DMZ are attacked, the rest of the network is not directly affected. Option B is incorrect. VLAN, Virtual Local Area Network, is used to group workstations that are not within the same locations into the same broadcast domain. It's not typically used to separate public-facing servers from the internal network. Option C is incorrect. VPN, Virtual Private Network, is used to create a secure connection to another network over the internet. It is not used to segregate internal and external network services. Option D is incorrect. IDS, intrusion detection system, is used to monitor networks or systems for malicious activity or policy violations. While this is a part of the broader security strategy, it does not directly address the need to separate public-facing servers from the internal network. Question number 16. For Kohlers, what does the group of hackers identified by the cybersecurity team, who are known for exploiting a specific vulnerability in network security, represent? Option A, vulnerability. Option B, threat actors. Option C, threat vector. Option D, risk. The correct answer is option B, threat actors. This is the group of hackers who pose a threat to Kohlers by potentially exploiting their network security weakness. Option A, vulnerability, is incorrect. This is the weakness in Kohlers' network security that the hackers might exploit, not the hackers themselves. Option C, threat vector, is incorrect. This is the pathway the hackers use to infiltrate a system, not the hackers themselves. Option D, risk, is incorrect. Risk is the potential for damage if the hackers successfully exploit a weakness, not the hackers themselves. Question number 17. What is the objective of a security awareness program? Option A, to enforce security policies and regulations. Option B, to educate employees on their role in protecting organizational assets and information. Option C, to monitor employee activities and behavior. Option D, to train employees on the technical aspects of security. The correct answer is option B, to educate employees on their role in protecting organizational assets and information. A security awareness program is a training program designed to educate employees on their role in protecting organizational assets and information. It aims to raise employee awareness of security risks and threats, and to promote good security practices such as password management, data protection, and incident reporting. Question number 18. What are the 3 prevalent authentication methods? Option A, something you know, something you have, something you are. Option B, something you have, someone you know, something you do. Option C, something you do, something you trust, something you have. Option D, something you have, something you do, somewhere you are. The correct answer is option A, something you know, something you have, something you are. All these are different types of data and allow for depth in authentication. As not all can be compromised in a single time, and using multi-factors allow for more security with authentication. Question number 19. Which of these options serves as an illustration of a compensatory control? Option A, a backup generator. Option B, a firewall. Option C, a manual process for processing transactions during a system outage. Option D, an intrusion detection system. The correct answer is option C, a manual process for processing transactions during a system outage. A manual process for processing transactions during a system outage is an example of a compensating control, as it compensates for the lack of availability of an automated system. Question number 20. What is a pivotal element in an incident response plan among the following? Option A, identifying critical business functions and their dependencies. Option B, establishing recovery time objectives for critical systems and data. Option C, conducting regular vulnerability assessments. Option D, establishing procedures for reporting and containing incidents. The correct answer is option D, establishing procedures for reporting and containing incidents. Establishing procedures for reporting and containing incidents is a key component of an incident response plan. This involves defining the procedures for detecting, reporting, and containing security incidents, as well as identifying the individuals and teams responsible for these activities. Question number 21. Which regulatory framework centers on safeguarding the privacy and security of personal data, for individuals within the European Union. Option A, FERPA, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Option B, HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Option C, CCPA, California Consumer Privacy Act. Option D, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. The correct answer is Option D, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. The GDPR is a comprehensive data protection regulation that sets out requirements for the collection, use, storage, and transfer of personal data of individuals within the European Union. Question number 22. Which category of devices among the following examines packet header details to either permit or block network traffic? Option A, routers. Option B, switches. Option C, firewalls. Option D, hubs. The correct answer is Option C, firewalls. Standard firewalls examine IP packet headers and flags in order to block or allow traffic from predefined rules. More recently, firewalls with intrusion detection capability also analyze each individual packet, looking for specific patterns known to be malicious, and then blocking traffic whenever such patterns are found. Routers, switches, and hubs have limited packet filtering capabilities, or none at all. A router is a device that acts as a gateway between two or more networks by relaying and directing data packets between them. Hubs broadcast packets between ports so that all segments of a LAN can see all packets. A switch is smarter than a hub and can forward packets between network segments instead of copying them. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today on Certification Terminal. We truly appreciate your support. If you found this video informative and adds value to your certification journey, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done yet. It helps us continue to create more content like this. If you did not watch our previous videos on ISC Square Certified Cybersecurity, please do visit and watch from our videos section,